So I was thinking, if I was to ever stop making fragrance-related content, what are the 5 designer fragrances I would keep for life? And I said, you know what if I make that into a video? And before we start, if you want to support the channel, you could buy a sample at my store, scentpilot.com, and here's a code to save you money on your first order. Without any further ado, let's get into this video. So just to clarify, guys, I'm not saying that these are the best fragrances on the market. These 5 fragrances are sentimental to me. They bring an emotional value that no other fragrance on the market is able to bring. So let's get into fragrance number 1, and some of you may have guessed it, Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. The reason this will be my number 1 fragrance that I will keep for life is because this was my signature scent for years, my most complimented fragrance of all time, and I share a ton of memories with this fragrance. Every time I would go out, I would wear this fragrance. Whenever I had a job interview, I would wear this fragrance. Every time I wanted to go to a party, I would wear this fragrance, wear the deodorant prior, use the shower gel, apply a little bit of the aftershave balm, and give this one 5 sprays. Versace Eros is just such an undeniably attractive scent profile. Apple, mint, and vanilla coming together in a masterful blend. I feel like this fragrance right here does not get the credit it deserves for its versatility. A lot of people try to put this one in the clubbing category, the party category, but this to me could easily be somebody's signature scent. And it offers tremendous price value proposition. If you go to TJ Maxx or Marshalls, you're able to find this fragrance for way below retail. You're getting a status brand like Versace, a scent profile that smells extremely attractive, and the opening on this one extremely fitting for the name. Eros, the god of love, aka Cupid, because once he shoots you with the arrow, kind of like the opening in here, it becomes an extremely addictive scent profile that makes you instantly fall in love. It's also a fragrance that garners a ton of compliments, and it's one of the most common answers to the question, what fragrance do you like on a man? Is there another men's fragrance you like that you want to share with us before I leave?
The Versace, the blue bottle. I love that one. There's a Versace one I like the blue bottle.
Is it Dylan Blue, Eros?
Eros.
The Versace ones are nice.
The Versace, I forgot what it's called.
Is it Eros?
Yeah.
In today's original Eros lineup, I do think that the Parfum is the best offering because it has the best performance and it smells the most refined. But any flanker from this lineup is going to offer you great price value proposition and a very easy to wear, mass appealing scent profile. So number 1 for me, Versace Eros Eau de Toilette. Number 2, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. Now, some of you may be surprised when I say this, but before making fragrance content, I was making music-related content. I really wanted to be a musician. I was making my own beats, mixing my own music, and writing my own songs. I had invested $30,000 that I saved up over the years into that business endeavor, and it did not work. In fact, it was my first ever business failure that I ended up in $10,000 worth of debt. But that moment taught me survival. I remember having to polish up my resume, fix my LinkedIn account to try to get a job as a marketing coordinator. And after a month and a half of extremely hard work and dedication, I managed to pull it off. And to treat myself, I remember calling my friend Afifa, who worked at Sephora. And I said, you know what, Afifa, is it possible to give me 30% off on Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum? Because at that time, this was an aspirational fragrance for me. So when I got this fragrance, it gave me a placebo boost of confidence, and it reminds me that every time I feel defeated, that I have the ability to bounce back and make something happen out of myself. So this was my go-to office fragrance when I worked for the interior designer and for the construction company, where I would fly drones all over New York City. So that's why this fragrance has sentimental value to me. It reminds me that I could always be the comeback kid. So in number 2 spot, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. In the 3rd place, Acqua di Gio Profumo. Yes, this fragrance is discontinued, but hear me out. If you want a fragrance that smells 95% similar to this one, get Acqua di Gio Parfum 2024, the one that comes with the magnetic cap. I'll leave a picture of it right there for you just in case you're not familiar with which one I'm talking about. But the reason this fragrance right here is so sentimental to me is because after I got my 9-to-5 job, I wanted to come back to the YouTube scene. So I was like, you know what? What kind of content do I make? And I randomly stumbled upon the top 10 greatest fragrances or the most complimented fragrances of all time by Jeremy Fragrance. I end up watching that video without having any clue about the fragrance niche. And 10 minutes in, I'm asking myself this question. I can't believe that I'm 10 minutes into a video related to fragrances, a product that I can't smell and experience right now, but I have this desire now to go to Sephora, to go to Ulta, to try some of these fragrances out. And this was a fragrance that he would constantly preach about. And over time, unfortunately, this fragrance got discontinued. And the reason I started my fragrance channel is because a lot of reviewers were saying that Acqua di Gio Profumo 2023 smells exactly like this one here. So I ended up blind buying it, and I was extremely disappointed because it did not smell exactly like Profumo. It had more of an herbal, spicier undertone. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I want more transparency in the fragrance community. So I decided to go out there and make my first ever video comparing Acqua di Gio Profumo and Acqua di Gio Profumo 2023. This fragrance is sentimental to me because this was the first fragrance that I ever reviewed once I started making fragrance related content. Now, do I plan on making fragrance content for the rest of my life? Honestly, I don't know, but this is a chapter that I'm currently in my life, and this is the fragrance that reminds me of that. So in third place, Acqua di Gio Profumo by Giorgio Armani. In the fourth place, Ford Oud Wood. I want to take you back to my teenage years. I was a kid with a lot of ambition and tenacity, but I didn't really have that much money to buy my Nintendo Wii games. So I remember calling my aunt every week, asking her, hey, do you want me to do your laundry for you? Do you want me to do some supermarket shopping? And at some point she would give me like $3, $4 here and there. I would go to my mom and do the same thing. But after a while, I felt embarrassed to do that and I wanted more money. That's when I applied for my first ever job at McDonald's and I got turned down. So I was a bit hopeless at that time. So I remember talking to my mom about it and I'm like, hey, I really want to get a job, but I don't know how. Starbucks and McDonald's did not hire me. Then she said, you know what? I'll call up one of your cousins and see if he's hiring. He's doing really well right now and he has a clothing store. Maybe you could work for him. And a week later, I started working for him on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, in a warehouse in New Jersey. And at one point, he had a huge order of clothing come in and I just finished processing it. And afterwards, I remember he came back to the warehouse with a brand new SL65 Mercedes-Benz. And I remember seeing that moment and thinking, wow, success is possible. And one day he's driving me back home from Jersey in that car. And I remember smelling this incredible fragrance, but I was too shy to ask him what it was. And a month and a half later, I'm back in that car again and my other cousin calls him and he's like, hey, listen, I'm in Bloomingdale's. I know you're traveling soon. Do you want anything right now that I could grab for you? And my cousin goes, hey, I'm actually out of my cologne, Ford Oud Wood. Can you buy me the big bottle of that fragrance? And I remember sitting there saying, wow, I've been wondering what that fragrance was this entire time. I go home, I look it up, and it's way out of my budget. So this to me was the aspirational fragrance. The fragrance that makes me believe that success is possible. Every time I put this on, it gives me a placebo boost of confidence like no other. This to me is the special occasion, special event fragrance because it always reminds me that success is possible. In the fourth place, Ford Oud Wood. In the fifth place, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Eau Intense. And here's why. At one point when I was working at the construction company, it really wasn't the best work environment. And I don't mean to say it in a mean way or a bad way to any of those people who are watching this video now, but I had the intuition that I wasn't gonna last that long at that job. So I ended up saying to myself, you know what? You have to be prepared because your intuition and your gut feeling is telling you things are not going to be the brightest in this situation. So I ended up applying for 2 other jobs. Warby Parker on the weekends, and in the evenings, I would work out Whole Foods from 6 to 11. So my schedule was jam-packed with work, literally 80 hours for almost a year of just straight labor. 9 to 5 at the construction company, 6 to 11 at Whole Foods, and my weekends were always at Warby Parker. This was the fragrance that I would wear every evening at Whole Foods. And a year later, funny enough, my intuition was correct. On a Thursday, a week before my birthday, a day before I got monetized on YouTube, the HR manager and my direct manager pulled me to the conference room, telling me that they're going to give me a severance package and I will be laid off. So the HR lady's like, I know it's extremely hard for you right now. It may be a bit of a tough situation. We could discuss this on Monday and we could go over the paperwork. And I was like, actually, like literally in the same exact tone. I was like, actually, we could do it right now. That sounds pretty good to me. And they're just like, what is going on right now? And the reason that is, guys, is because I trusted my intuition and I had a gut feeling that things are not going to be prosperous in that endeavor. And because I had worked 3 jobs, I luckily had a good amount of savings to continue making fragrance content. This fragrance takes me back to that same exact moment, and it reminds me to trust my intuition, to trust my gut, and if I ever need to push myself beyond human limitations, it's possible. So hope you guys enjoyed the video on my top 5 designer fragrances that I would keep for life. And also leave a comment below on what 5 fragrances you would keep if you had to get rid of your entire collection. Make sure to give this video a like, and if you want to support us, you could buy a sample at my store, scentpilot.com, and here's a code to save you money on your first order. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.